Hi there, it's Llarold. Today I'm going to talk about time rifts, my favorite new feature in patch 10.1.5 and why I feel that they are the antidote to an issue that's been plaguing WoW for years. So let's start with the problem. World of Warcraft, and just Warcraft more generally, is a decade-spanning video game franchise with a massive multiverse full of characters, worlds, and storylines with tons and tons and tons of content. And the vast majority of that content, those locations and enemies and stories, have basically been abandoned. Areas that were once vibrant and full of life are now tossed aside with all the concern and care afforded to a paper Starbucks cup. Whenever a new expansion comes out, or especially a new mid-expansion patch like patch 6.2 or 7.3 or 10.0.7, a new zone is added, the Isle of Thunder, Argus, the Forbidden Reach. The new zone has enemies and quests and gear catch-up mechanisms for alts. There's tons of stuff to do, so you play it for 3 to 6 months until a new patch or expansion comes out with new zones and new quests and so on, and then you leave and you forget about it and probably never return unless a quest in a new expansion sends you back there for 5 minutes. And so all of these worlds, all these enemies, all this art and design that Blizzard's employees spent hundreds and thousands of hours constructing, that players spent cumulative thousands and millions of hours playing, are just empty, desolate, colossal wrecks. They stand as monuments to the brief window in which they were relevant, now empty and untouched except by weirdos like me who are writing video essays about them. So what's Blizzard to do? They could just keep remaking classic versions of WoW until players recover every single inch of content that's ever been made, but I don't think that's going to happen, and it really wouldn't be the right fix anyways. I don't think that just sending players back to replay old patch content would be the right move either. For one, that's probably very boring for players who played that old patch content the first time and either didn't like it or did but had their fill of that particular gameplay loop. But it can't be all that fun to retread old ground for the developers either. Just like exploring new worlds is fun, making new stuff is also fun. That's the creative process. To quote Chris Wilson, the director of Path of Exile, a totally different game, players don't care in principle that you've reused content. They expect it, but they care when they can notice it. For me, what this means for World of Warcraft is there are ways Blizzard can take the already developed assets, the locations and enemies from previous parts of the game that are long since past and ignored, and bring them forward into new content. So you get all the fun and novelty of new gameplay loops, but with the sense of continuity and comfort that comes from familiar settings and familiar characters and enemy types. We're seeing that quite a bit in Dragonflight already, especially in patch 10.1.5, beyond just time rifts. The Infinite Dragonflight is returned in Dawn of the Infinites, a classic enemy that everybody liked and found kinda cool and underdeveloped. Love to see more about that. Classic Skullomance is also back. And there's a new reason to re-clear Naxxramas. You can spend enormous amounts of time, effort, and gold recrafting Tier 3 gear. This is all great. It's a great direction for the game. Time rifts are kind of the perfect example of all of this because they take this concept and turn it all the way up to 11, and I think that's why I like them so much. So now let's actually just talk about how time rifts work. Every hour, on the hour, so 10 exactly, 11 exactly, and so on, an event will begin in Tierhold Reservoir. That's the valley just east of Valdrakken. You'll start out with a 60-second timer letting you know a new time rift is about to open, and once that timer hits 0, denizens of an alternate universe version of Azeroth start pouring out through the time rift. Once you talk to Sora Dormi, the bronze dragon overseeing the whole situation, and let her know you're available to help, you'll start being given objectives to complete. This all unfolds kind of like you're in a scenario, except this is all one big region-wide group quest with tons of overlapping objectives occurring all at once. Each objective has a timer attached to it and most of them last for a minute or less. They range all over the place, from killing enemy NPCs, that's the most basic one, kill anything, favorite objective by far, to disabling rampaging robots, or rescuing baby Murlocs by throwing them in a portal back to the Murloc version of Azeroth, as Murloth. There are group objectives like dragging a giant egg to a special spot, along with a ton of other players. The pacing on all these objectives is typically pretty frantic. It's a mad dash, and at least right now, the area is filled with other players. Even at like 5, 6 in the morning, it's chock full of other players. So it's a mad dash to just run around and kill guys or save guys or smash stuff or fix stuff as fast as you can. Now, if you're in a party, you and your party members won't necessarily have the same objectives available to you at the same time. I also received buffs like Bloodlust from people who were nearby but weren't in my party, so I think there's some sort of pseudo grouping occurring here, and I definitely found myself getting quest credit from other nearby players who I wasn't partied with, and I think that's all great. Like I said, it's not a mad dash to steal mobs from each other, it's a mad dash to work together. Even if we're not grouped, we should all share progress. And speaking of progress, there's a 3-stage progress bar that fills up as you complete objectives and kill invaders from other universes. That grants you 3 different treasure chests with currency and items inside as you fill up the bar. I got paracausal flakes, that's the new currency for this event, from every treasure chest I opened. In some cases, I also got 402 item level catch-up gear tokens as well. I've been told you can get some mounts and pets too, but I have not been that lucky. Now, after 8 or 9 minutes of scrambling around and dealing with invaders around the time rift and filling up those bars, a portal will open in the middle of Llarold Reservoir, and your quest objective will change, indicating that you should enter the time rift. When you do, you and the rest of your group will enter sort of a small vignette area where you have to kill a boss together. It may be laggy a little bit, it may be laggy a lot. It may even be literally unplayable. Or it may just be fine. Either way, once the boss is dead, the time rift is over, and Azeroth is saved for another 45 minutes or so. At this point, you can go talk to Soradormi for quest rewards, and talk to alternate universe vendors to spend those paracausal flakes. So now let's talk about the rewards. There are 7 alternate versions of Azeroth leaking through the time rift. And that means there are 7 alternate universe vendors ready to sell you cosmetic rewards in exchange for the paracausal flakes you earn during the time rifts. They also each sell a unique trinket that exists on the veteran upgrade track, so you can upgrade it from 402 item level up to 424, I believe. If you're just doing outdoor content on that character, or, LFR, whatever, that sort of level of engagement with the game, then this gear is actually pretty decent. It's certainly not bad if you're gearing up a new character, but given the amount of amazing cosmetic items available from all of these vendors, I'd prefer to spend my paracausal flakes on, amazing mounts and pets. Like this Murloc version of Gul'dan that I got. There's also catch-up gear from a vendor named She, or maybe Shy, Everbreeze, who sells pieces of gear in exchange for dilated time capsules. These allow you to directly purchase pieces of gear in a specific slot, a helm, a weapon, an offhand, that sort of thing. This gear is also on the veteran upgrade track, so not exactly long-term best in slot, but great for catch-up gear, and according to some Wowhead comments, this gear can actually be converted into tier using the Catalyst, so the ability to get a full 4-piece tier set bonus without setting foot in any content except time rifts is possible, and very appealing if you have characters you're not really that serious about, like me with my Evoker or my Mage. So I think this content is extremely rewarding for the time investment, both in terms of lower level catch-up gear and a variety of cosmetic rewards. The pacing is also really fun and fast and frantic, which I like, and because it's only up for 10 to 15 minutes at a time, it's something I can do each time it's up, at least when I remember, and not feel like as soon as it's done I have to immediately log over to another alt to do it and then log off of another alt to do it again. I can just catch it on an alt the next time it's up. No big deal. Also, because it's at the start of each hour, I don't have to check Wowhead or use an add-on or a special week aura to know when it's coming up. I just need to look at a clock. That's pretty easy. So just in general, patch 10.1.5 has been really great. I enjoy the time rifts a lot, and I hope that they get as positive of a reception from the community as they have from me. Because I think that this type of design should serve as a guiding principle for a lot of the WoW team's plans for similar outdoor content in years and expansions to come. And if the amount of people that I'm seeing sitting around waiting for time rifts to spawn at 5 in the morning is any indication, I think they are pretty popular and well liked. Time rifts put a fun spin on a lot of old WoW concepts, and they're Blizzard storytelling at its best to me. They're fun, they're fast-paced, and they're silly, with lots of cute mounts and pets as rewards too. Well anyway, I'll see you at the next time rift. Thanks for watching. Bye.